You thought you'd seen everything, didn't you? Well, you may want to buckle up for this because what you're about to see will make your jaw drop to the floor. The same legacy media machine that spent 8 years trying to destroy Donald Trump and the MAGA movement just got forced to do something they swore they'd never do. Butter the popcorn, get ready, because watching them squirm is absolutely glorious. Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your Patriot Professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the far left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. To call President Trump's peace deal in the Middle East historic would be an understatement. Leaders from all around the world, Europe, Asia, Arab countries, Latin America, are all heralding the peace agreement as one of the crowning achievements in the history of international relations. President Trump met today with Argentina's President Javier Milei, and Milei presented him with a framed letter nominating him for the Nobel Peace Prize. They actually had to rewrite the letter. It was written before the historic peace agreement this weekend, acknowledging Trump's unprecedented number of peace deals around the world, and they had to add one more, the biggest one yet as of this weekend. It was so huge. The day was so historic, with every Israeli hostage being returned safe and sound, reunited with their families. It was such an unprecedented success that Scott Adams, who you all know is wrestling with inoperable cancer, he could not contain his emotions upon reflecting on its significance for his own life.
When I decided I would throw away my entire social life to back Trump, and when I eventually threw away my entire career, which even before I was canceled, my licensing business and book sales went to almost nothing because I was supporting Trump. I sacrificed everything. I sacrificed my social life. I sacrificed my career. I sacrificed my reputation. I may have sacrificed my health. And I did that because I believed it was worth it. Today's the day. Today's the day. I'm really happy I lived long enough to see it. It was worth it. It was worth it. Not just for this, but it was worth it. It was worth it to be right. It's worth it to be right.
It's worth it to be right. All that sacrifice, all that pain, it was all worth it to be right. God bless Scott Adams. We all love him so much. The significance of what happened this past weekend is simply impossible to exaggerate. And so, given that impossibility, the legacy media, the very same media apparatus that actively campaigned against Trump back in 2016 and 2020, that cheerled the prosecutorial persecution of Trump, that weaponized lawfare against him and his family and his inner city, that the legacy media celebrated and cheerled, the very same legacy media that did everything they possibly could to keep Trump from returning to the presidency. Yes, that very same legacy media has had no choice but to admit that President Trump has won. Trump has won, and he was indeed right all along, as were we who sacrificed so much to support him. Let's start with Joe and Mika on MSNBC. Take a look at this.
Let's look back at yesterday, just an extraordinary day, and unlike, I think, any day I've ever seen, certainly coming out of the Middle East.
Joe, it was a joyous day of images of people celebrating genuine, deep happiness at seeing their relatives home, seeing Palestinian prisoners return. On both sides, you saw the just unmistakable joy of the day.
And the surprises continue. Here's historian and MSNBC contributor John Macham.
It's a terrific day for the hostage families. It's a terrific day for President Trump, for our national interests. You're right, we don't know how the story ends, but stories are made up of chapters. As Richard Haas knows, he was very much in the arena now 35 years ago. At the end of the first Gulf War, when there was a great conference in Madrid as we tried to reset the peace process. 9 years later, President Clinton, in the last hours of his presidency, made a noble attempt at Camp David. We can go on and on about the various chapters, but we should make no mistake about this. This is a victory for President Trump and for those who wish that we can govern ourselves at home and around the world, not simply by brute force, but by ideas and civilized norms.
And it wasn't just MSNBC. Former CNN contributor Chris Celica tweeted out, quote, "If you can't give Donald Trump credit for what he did on Hamas and Israel, you are a totally blind partisan." Even the otherwise completely insufferable Abby Phillip took Barack Obama to task for not giving President Trump credit for the peace deal.
Honestly, it's not unfair to say if President Obama's going to write a whole post about a peace deal, maybe he should acknowledge the president that brokered it.
If Donald Trump gets a peace deal, he deserves the credit.
And could you ever imagine CNN saying that there were endless applause for President Trump?
And, of course, endless applause for President Trump. Endless applause for President Trump.
And when I was there, I even saw people wearing Make America Great Again hats in that crowd over at Hostage Square.
So, my, oh my, it turns out pigs really do fly. And we could go on and on. I kid you not. The late night clowns themselves, the borderline illiterates Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert, praised Trump. They were able to see past the putrid poison they spew out every night and recognize the monumental achievement of what he just accomplished. And if you can believe it, even this woman acknowledged Trump's greatness.
It's a really significant first step, and I really commend President Trump and his administration, as well as Arab leaders in the region for making the commitment to the 20-point plan and seeing a path forward for what's often called the day after.
Hey gang, you asked for more, so here it is. I'm pulling back the curtain and inviting you into my world. Turley Walks is officially live. Every week, I'm dropping unfiltered insights and exclusive behind-the-scenes moments just for you. New episodes go live every Thursday only on our Patriot portal. This isn't my usual uncensored Monday night Q&A where I do a deep dive with my Turley troublemakers. Turley Walks is unscripted, raw, and packed with personal insights that you won't get anywhere else. It's available exclusively for members of the Courageous Patriot Club. Head on over to turley.pub/club or scan the QR code to join us and unlock access to all the exclusive content. Let's dive in together. What sense should we make of all of this? Well, in many respects, what happened over this past weekend, ironically, was the establishment, and particularly the legacy media establishment's worst nightmare. You know, the dear immortal Rush Limbaugh always said, good news for America is bad news for the Democrats. Good news for America is bad news for the Democrats. Bad news for the party that feeds off of victimhood and wallowing and so forth. At a surface level, going back to Scott Adams' wonderful observation, this is about the complete and total vindication of everything we've been saying about Trump for years. Trump's America First foreign policy works. Trump's realist international relations works. His civilizationalism works. His negotiation tactics work. His understanding of strength through leadership works. This was the total and complete vindication of everything that we've been boldly standing up for and supporting these last nearly 10 years. And in the midst of all that, the legacy media spent that same amount of time, nearly a decade, telling us that Trump's approach can't work. Trump talked about this when he was speaking before the Knesset. He was actually joking about it when he was talking in front of the Israeli parliament. For years, the legacy media warned that Trump's unorthodox approach would lead to wars. It would lead to chaos. It would lead to global instability. He can't be trusted with the power of the presidency. That would be a global disaster. He was laughing about that in front of the Knesset. Yeah, they kept saying, I'm going to start wars. No, I'm the one who's going to end wars. Trump has objectively demonstrated for all the world that he could deliver what every president since Jimmy Carter tried and failed to achieve: actual lasting peace in the most volatile region on earth. And the best part, the legacy media cannot spin this one away. That's why they're being forced to admit Trump triumphed here. They can't blame Russia. They can't claim it's fake news. They can't call it a deep fake AI. They can't call it a conspiracy theory. They can't even give credit to the previous administration because this happened entirely under Trump's watch, using Trump's method and Trump's administration, Trump's team. You want to know why Obama really refused to give Trump any credit for the peace deal? You want to know why he sounds so panicked and frankly incoherent of late? Because this peace deal doesn't just prove Trump right about basically everything, but most especially foreign policy. It proves the opposite. It proves the entire establishment was wrong. Again, about literally everything. Wrong about diplomacy. Wrong about leadership. Wrong about what it takes to actually solve the world's problems instead of just talking about them. When Newt Gingrich called Trump's diplomacy magical and said he changed the game, he wasn't exaggerating. Trump didn't just broker a peace deal, he shattered every assumption the foreign policy establishment held sacred. But at a deeper level, the legacy media, lauding their praise on Trump, are openly revealing their own self-contradiction. They're openly admitting that the man they called Hitler has brought about world peace. That the man that they called repeatedly a Nazi and a fascist received a hero's welcome in the nation of Israel. That the man that they called unstable brought about stability in one of the most tumultuous regions on the planet. Their praise turns out to be their own indictment. They are revealing themselves to be walking contradictions. The man they claimed was the epitome of evil has brought about the most objective good imaginable. And what does Scripture say about those who call evil good and good evil? But I have to say the most delicious part of this all is that Trump isn't even gloating. He's just doing what he promised he'd do, winning so much that even his enemies get tired of watching him win. And astonishingly, gang, take a step back. We're not even a full year into this presidency. This is just the beginning. If Trump could force the liberal media to praise him for solving the Middle East crisis, imagine what's coming next. The Abraham Accords expansion, trade deals that actually benefit America, and a foreign policy that puts America first while bringing stability to the world. The establishment thought they could wait Trump out, resist his agenda, and go back to business as usual. Instead, they're watching him achieve in months what they couldn't accomplish in decades, and they're being forced to admit it for all to see.